Welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name is Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend, Brianna Mosier.
Hi.
The intention of this show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized relationship dynamics by learning how to honor each other's natural masculine and feminine energetic core. We're continuing our series about breakups, and this one is going to be really meaty, so buckle up. I want to introduce Bree and myself, and then we'll dive in.
Yes.
Bree, tell my friends who you are, what you do.
Yeah. My name is Bree. My work in the world is helping really high-achieving, intelligent, typically very self-aware women embrace their feminine energy and heal trauma patterns, heal attachment styles, and start gravitating towards and engaging with healthy, secure partners. Do that through the lens of somatic-based healing work, as well as a lot of pleasure, sex, love, and intimacy skills. Yeah.
Love that.
And your work in the world is?
Similar but different.
Similar but different.
I help really intelligent men ground their sense of confidence so that they have the clarity that they need to move through the dating space and really exude that masculine presence that makes them kind of magnetic to the right type of women who can meet them at that depth and really engage on that emotional level that they're looking for. So that said, we are excited to dive back into this topic of breakups because it's one that no one likes to talk about, but everyone's been through them. So we might as well talk about them in a way that gives you the tools that you need. We said in the last one, like this really could have been a masterclass when we parsed this out. So we want for this to be really helpful for you, hopefully, and may connect some dots from a previous breakup or would prepare you if you ever have that experience again. So start us off, Brie.
And if you love the episode, if you'd be willing to rate us on Spotify or Apple or leave a comment from an empowered lens, right? Really owning your experience. That just helps push our content. Share it with somebody that you know would benefit. We don't do any sort of ad on the show yet. So anything that you're helping us with to push forward we're very grateful. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. What was the question?
Where do you want to start?
Okay. So I think this episode, we've kind of labeled for ourselves as starting to unpack what actually happened in the dynamic. And there's a pitfall that I think a lot of people fall prey to, which is villainizing another person. I see this all over social media. He's a narcissist. He's emotionally unavailable. You know, he was always doing XYZ. And while your experiences are valid, because your experiences are always valid, but what you label them may or may not be accurate. And the reason that you don't want to be doing that is because if you are misdiagnosing the situation to yourself, you can't actually heal what needs to be healed. It's like you're giving medicine for the wrong wound, right? If you need open heart surgery and you're taking ibuprofen, we need a little bit more going on here than just that. So if you're calling someone a narcissist because you had an experience of being gaslit, the path of healing for you is going to be very different if you're not actually dealing with a narcissist. And then you'll hold yourself back. But we kind of cling to these labels for a sense of safety. So we want to parse out helping you understand where can you take accountability? Where can we look at just incompatibility and understanding people are human and not villainizing another person? And then when are labels really helpful, right? And a lot of my clients come from a background of trauma or abuse. Labels are very, very helpful in those situations to help you understand what happened to you and why your response is so intense and severe because you went through something different than a normal breakup.
Yeah. It's educational at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And then the labels really are empowering. They help you understand why you're having that response, why you're having PTSD, why you do feel so anxious all the time. But if we mislabel it, you're going to hold yourself back in your own healing because you can't actually take real accountability for what needs to be accounted for because all the blame's going somewhere else.
Ooh, that.
Yeah.
Ooh, so good.
Can you see this?
No,
I hogged the notes.
We like to, well, you don't have to put them all the way over
I can
here.
read from over here.
Okay, great.
Eyesight's better than yours. Just kidding. I just wanted to see what you would do. All right, go on.
I probably do need to put my glasses on.
I have contacts because I can't see for shit. So
I love that. So one of the things when we were kind of thinking about what is it that causes us in this particular phase, when you're coming out of the deep shock and the deep sense of like just wanting some reprieve from the pain, so you're wanting to blame or kind of send that pain somewhere else, this is when it's most likely your brain is actually starting to come back online. Like viscerally you've been injured and your whole nervous system is just like in shock and sending lots of messages to you. This is when that kind of like front part of your brain starts to come back online and you start making these associations, exactly what Bree was saying, of like, is this behavior this? And that's when it's so important to go in and actually create the distinction that you need to see things clearly. Because before, in phase one, when you're just like grasping for clarity wherever so that you can get out of this experience that you're having, this is when the clarity is actually the most helpful. You've digested some of the emotional and visceral shock that you experienced, and your like capacity is coming back online. And speaking of capacity, this is where a lot of times when we can really get clear on what capacity the other person had in the relationship and what capacity we had in the relationship. Sometimes that can be really empowering to take ownership of, was I showing up as the version of myself that would be compatible to what I was wanting? Mm-hmm. And sometimes the answer is no, and that's something to be with as well, and to let that kind of like work through your nervous system in your body to really get clear on like what type of relationship you were hoping for and what that actually looks like and means on a practical level. And that can be finding someone with maybe more capacity or opening up your capacity too. And I'm sure you can speak to this too when you have some of those injuries of feeling abandoned or having been pulled away from. And it's easy to say like, oh, they're unavailable. And when we really look in the mirror, have I been available to myself in the last phase and this phase, and even in the relationship as a whole? Where have I been not showing up for myself? Where have I not been advocating for myself? Where have I been stepping over my own boundaries? All of the things that you are kind of like putting on them. Sometimes it's a really good time to just sit with what that actually looked like in practice and where you may need to take a little bit more ownership for collaborating in that experience.
Well said. You know what was coming to me when you were sharing that? I had a client the other day say to me, when we were reflecting on her breakup, he was always overstepping my boundaries. I said, what do you mean by that? He was always overstepping your boundaries. She's like, I would say this and then he would do this instead. And we had to make this distinction. I'm on your team. I'm rooting for you. I care about you. Those were your boundaries that you didn't hold. Boundaries are internal. So you said, hey, this behavior is not okay. And he did it again, but you stayed. And you allowed it. And she said, yeah, but he just kept overstepping. I said, you kept dropping your boundary. A boundary is not, and I've said it a million times, a boundary is not what you say you want. It's what you tolerate and allow. And you're the person that decides, does this work for me? So a lot of my clientele has a habit of over-functioning, self-abandoning, trying to keep love, chase love, prove themselves worthy. And when they leave relationships, they often have a lot of resentment toward the other person. And so their instinct is to label and to blame, which is healthy in some phases. And like we talked about in the first episode, if you've gone through trauma and abuse, there is a level of blame and being angry that's actually really healthy. It keeps you safe in the beginning. And then there comes a point where we have to pull out of that and go, and I was a willing component. I chose this. And things happened and I chose it again. And that doesn't make someone's behavior okay. It doesn't justify. It doesn't mean that you are to blame for what happened to you. None of that. But it's, where did I let myself down by not holding my own boundary? Because going forward, you want that wisdom. So you don't... You okay?
Yep. I was excited. I was like, that!
Okay. It sounded intense. You want that wisdom going forward so you don't allow it to happen again.
Yeah.
So you have a new commitment to yourself. Oof. I didn't feel good about that, but I stayed. I'm not doing that again. I'm going to leave that paradigm and own what I need and walk away when someone doesn't have capacity to meet me. You know, so these are the things you want to start parsing out in this second phase is like, did they overstep or did I allow and tolerate? What did I allow and tolerate that didn't actually feel good to me? And then, yes, you can still be angry about the things that they did, of course, but own the parts that allowed it, you know? And that's said to help you with growth, right? Which is a conversation I've had with myself. Courtney knows many times the ways I let myself down and self-abandoned and tolerated things that didn't feel good to me. Those were things I had to rectify within myself and be really honest about. And it was ugly for a while. Like, oof, why am I choosing this for me, you know? But the reason we do this work is because we've had to do it.
Literally, we were like, man, this would have rocked my world had I known this a couple years ago. Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I think for me, the clients that find my work, when I talk about capacity, these men often have a lot of depth. They're looking for someone who can meet them at that depth. And what they often show up with is a mismatch in capacity of depth. We can talk about capacity in terms of like regulation of your nervous system, skills, time, bandwidth, emotional focus, whatever capacity you need to start to kind of like distinguish so that you can really zoom in of like, oh, this area is where we were mismatched. For my clientele, it often is this capacity in terms of depth because they're able to do this deep emotional work and they're wanting to be met by women who are also at that level. And what they're not realizing is that they are actually kind of like coming up to the surface and having these surface level conversations when they would rather and would probably thrive down here and attract someone who can meet them down there. And so really kind of like learning to identify where the mismatch is happening in terms of what type of capacity are you needing a partner to have in order for you to feel the most yourself. And you learn this as you're going through breakups and as you are bumping into boundaries and realizing, oh, nope, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to go this way instead. That is how you learn this. There isn't like a rule book. And I think that's the really challenging piece, especially, and I realize the irony in that we're sharing, you know, how to make it through a breakup. But the reality is everyone is unique in what works for them and what they can be with based on their experiences and history and nervous system capacity and different traumas. All of those factors play into what you can and can't work with or be with, and that's okay. There have been really great people who were a mismatch because they're things that I couldn't be with. I didn't have the skill set for that. I didn't have the capacity for that. I couldn't meet them where they needed to be met either, and therefore it was a really choppy relationship. And sometimes the kindest thing to do is after you've done the work to figure out, am I needing to lean in more or are we just not actually compatible, is to just allow yourself to say compatibility isn't there and that's got to be okay.
Well said.
Yeah.
I think the capacity piece is so important. It's so easy to... there's a lot of narratives right now that blame people with avoidant attachment style and really villainize that. People are very angry about it. And it can be painful. And what's really happening is a mismatch in capacity. That person does not yet have a capacity to be with their emotions. Often they end up choosing and being with an anxious person who doesn't know how to contain their emotions. And they're attracted to each other for the things that each other has that they need to learn, right? The anxious needs to learn containment and the avoidant needs to learn this depth and connection to their emotions. And so it's easy to say, oh, well, they just couldn't meet me and they're the problem. And then we'll hear this rhetoric of like, I need someone who's on my level. But what you need is someone who can meet you more deeply emotionally. And that doesn't make where that person is wrong. You're both healing from these attachment styles, right? And it's okay. You are human. But the tendency to say, well, they're avoidant, it was all their fault, I think ultimately holds you back from actually getting what you want. Yeah. And so capacity mismatch. What was that video we saw years ago? was a man that made it.
With the shot glass.
You're in my brain. Yes. Yeah. It's like a mason jar of water and a shot glass of water, right? And if we characterize the mason jar of water as the anxious person, let's say, who has like all these feelings and depth that they want to share, which is not to say that avoidance don't, but access to these emotions. And then you have the shot glass, and the anxious person just pours all their water into the shot glass, and it's going to overwhelm someone who's avoidant who doesn't have capacity. And vice versa, when the avoidant is trying to give back to someone who's anxious and they pour a shot glass in their mason jar, the anxious person is like, can't feel you. Where are you? We're not close. Well, what are you really thinking? What are you really feeling? I'm going to fix you. I'm going to save you. I'm going to find the drop of water that you're withholding and pull it out, you know? I think that's a great visual of capacity. Mismatch is not a bad thing. We don't need to villainize each other. It's just, you can't give me what I need and I can't give you what you need.
Yeah.
And let's respectfully honor that and separate.
Yeah. And I think the respectful piece is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, one of the principles that that I always talk about with my partners, like, you being in partnership means that you are looking out for the other person's well-being just as much. Like, you do have to have a certain amount of being willing to do what's best for the other person. And if what's best for the other person is to move forward, then it is just a respectful parting of ways. It doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt. It doesn't mean that you won't have moments of missing them. It doesn't mean any of those things. But if you're not actually compatible, to part ways is something that you can actually do with a deep level of reverence for who they are, what they're up for, what they want in a relationship and a connection, and what they're needing. That you aren't able to offer at this point, or maybe ever, to let them go do that for themselves is actually a really kind and respectful offer.
I love that.
To just kind of reframe, it's not necessarily a breakup. It is like allowing them to have what they are asking for and deserve. Doesn't mean that it's better or worse, but they do deserve to have their needs met in a relationship. That's what keeps it sustainable. And if you're not able or willing for whatever reason, then it's a respectful thing to allow them to do that.
I love that. I think the same thing rings true when someone doesn't have an emotional skill set to meet you yet. And can we just respect that that person isn't willing to go there with themselves right now? And for that reason, you're not going to have that depth or connection. If you want that for yourself, okay. They don't have the emotional skill set to love you the way that you want to be loved. That's all right. There are things that you wouldn't have an emotional skill set to love a different type of person the way they want to be loved. You know? Can we drop this narrative of it's all their fault? And just neutrally look at, where are we incompatible? Where do we have capacity mismatch? Where are we not aligned? You know, I think there's something to be said too for compatibility in just generalities. Like, they don't want kids and you do. They don't want to be married and you do. They don't want to settle down. They want to live a nomad lifestyle, and you really value being in one place and settling and building a home. None of these make the other person wrong. You're just not aligned. And thank goodness you know that, so you can start moving in the direction of someone you are aligned to, who has all the wonderful qualities of that person that you love, and your vision is the same.
I love that. One thing that's coming to mind too with my clients is that sometimes the people who they are actually compatible with are the ones that are currently very triggering for them. That until you're willing to go through this period and really glean the wisdom that's here for you, you will actually stay stuck in these dynamics that are unsatisfying, because the relationship that you're actually after is triggering the fire out of you right now. And that's where having the somatic skills to open up the capacity that's asking to be opened up every time you're getting, inflamed internally. It is asking for more capacity to come online, and for you to really like zoom in and put some nuance there and get clear on why this trigger is occurring for you, what you need to take account of and be considering as you're moving into that terrain. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a no. And I would say actually for my specific clientele, again, very intelligent, masculine energy men, there is a shift that is that I'm kind of like watching them make, where they're actually owning A, what it is that they want, and B, that the people that they were kind of like limerent about aren't compatible with them. They can know that, but until they do this work, they're going to stay stuck in that kind of like, I can't let go of it, beating myself up, I'm not feeling good about myself, I'll never find someone like that. And they're comparing every other woman to that until they get this information. And that's what allows them to start getting with truly compatible partners. And that's such a fun thing to observe.
That's so interesting. I think the women who listen to the show will be happy to hear that. You know? This like, I'm never going to find a woman who's like that, because I know on the other side that woman is thinking, where wasn't I good enough for him? Like, why didn't it work out? It's just so interesting, the narratives we tell ourselves, you know? And maybe that's the other pitfall too in this phase. If you tend to be overly accountable, take too much responsibility, that's going to be an issue too. This used to be my pattern all the time. Well, I should have tended to their needs more. I should have paid attention more. Why couldn't I be the one that gets them to open up? Why couldn't I be the one that gets them to fully choose me? Right? I would end up, my pattern was I would end up breaking up with these people after staying for way too long, because I was trying so hard to get them to be what I wanted them to be, not seeing that was not actually seeing them.
Yeah.
I was trying to mold someone into what I wanted, which is really unfair.
Yeah.
Because that's not who they actually are. And it's none of my business to try to shape them, you know? But when I was in a really anxious place back then, what the narrative in my head would be like, well, how perfect do I need to be in order to get someone like that to fully open? Like, if I was this amazing feminine woman, he would open to me, and I would make it my fault that I wasn't perfect enough. Through working with mentors, professionals, doing all this work that we now give to you guys, right? That's when I started to discern more about this. Like, okay, where am I chasing or improving love? I mean, I relate to my clients for the reasons that I know what they're feeling. What do I actually need to be accountable to? Which is typically, where did I let my own boundaries drop, you know? And what can I say? No, that wasn't healthy behavior. And it kept happening, and it's my job for tolerating it, but this is really unhealthy. That's not mine to own. There's nothing I could have done to change how that person was when they chose to act that way. So I think for a lot of folks, that's also the conversation, right? It's not like they're avoiding accountability. It's they then take too much accountability, and then it damages their self-esteem and their self-worth. And then they perpetuate the pattern. If you don't parse it out meaningfully, you'll keep choosing people who dangle the carrot and never quite choose you or meet you.
Yeah. Which I would say that is usually the woman that he is kind of like limerently attached to, is the woman who's not quite choosing him back. She's not willing to lean in and actually be in the relationship. She's kind of like keeping her eye out for better options, and and so it never feels like he's actually being met. And there's like a few little distinctions that once he's able to see it, those things that you can't unsee are like the transformations that happen. But once that happens, then it's easier to start putting the pieces in place that you're needing to strengthen, so that you can show up as the version of yourself that would be a healthy match to someone who is actually compatible for you. And that may be deep nervous system recalibration, and it may just be a couple of distinctions that need to happen for you. But that's something that I see often, and it's usually they get stuck in this phase where they're coming to me because they have this kind of attachment to someone who wasn't choosing them back. And I think it was Matthew Hussey. He used to say, like, if they're not choosing you, they're not your person. They just can't be. Like, that cannot coexist. your person is someone who's choosing you at the time that you're wanting to choose them. It's this mutual leaning in. And I was like, that is actually really quite, I can't explain it better, so credit to him. But in these dynamics where they're kind of like chasing, and the other person's just kind of like, I don't know. There's some inner work that needs to be done for sure, but a lot of it is just this nervous system piece where they're needing to make a couple shifts and then put a few distinctions in place for them to actually find someone who's compatible with them, who is choosing them back and creating this like really beautiful, thriving dynamic.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's so simple, isn't it? If you're in the middle of a breakup and hearing that phrase is so empowering, right? Like, if they were my person, we would be together. I often say to clients, if it were meant to work out, it would have worked out. And it wouldn't have felt like pushing a damn car uphill. Girl, good, healthy love feels secure and easy, and it flows and it's natural, and you just choose each other. My best friend always says it was like a train that couldn't be stopped with her and her husband. And they really do have, I mean, I've talked about this on the show before. They have such a beautiful relationship. How clear is that? And if it's not that, then it's not that. And then everyone you meet before is not a failure. It's wisdom. You learn from it. And we'll do a whole episode. The next one is, how do you take that wisdom and become the type of woman or the type of person who can hold the relationship you want? Yes. Which is the fun part, right? But right now, this part is so important, this part too, where you're looking at, where was I incompatible with the type of relationship I wanted? Where do I want to be accountable and grow? What skills do I need in the relationship going forward, right? For anxious folks, it's really important to have containment and know how to take care of yourself and open up without pulling and spilling. Like, there are certain skill sets that will open you up to engage in a different type of way with a different type of healthy, secure man. Or if you're more of a woman who's more in her masculine, right? How much can we access your heart and soften and let go of the past pain and let your protection down? So you can start seeing men clearly and changing your picker, literally. When people say your picker's broken, sometimes it kind of is. Got to redirect that sucker.
If it hasn't been working, like, it's worth looking at.
Yeah, and such a good bridge. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're deep in these attraction patterns, and other times your picker is on and you're meeting really healthy, secure people. They're just not your person yet. And there's nothing to really fix there. You just enjoy dating and getting to know people and seeing in more nuanced ways where you want to make shifts and own what you need. But it's not this like big emotional purge anymore, you know, because you've graduated into more secure, empowered thinking. So you'll probably meet a lot of almosts.
Yes.
Shall we dive into almost?
Yes, let's get into the almosts. You've seen all of my almosts.
You've seen all of my almost.
Yeah. In this, just in our friendship, the ones that were just like, it's just not it. And I think those are sometimes the most painful because you do start to, when we talked last time about the hope that you're actually having to grieve, the future that you hoped for is what you're kind of having to grieve. These are even more painful. Our teacher, Leah Lake, always saw a post from her and I was like, ooh, I love that. She was just saying that like the almost are the ones that are the most painful because you have this dream in your mind that you're not only having to grieve, but also you're starting to like turn in on yourself thinking, what could I have done differently? Like I could have just applied more feminine energy. If I was just in my feminine a little bit more, if I was just more masculine, I could have made this work. And what you're doing is just kind of like having to really like manhandle this relationship when the reality is intimacy is like holding it with an open hand and allowing this thing to like come kind of like a bird, come perch on your hand and eat the bird seed on your hand. There's no need to like hold it or grip or be grasping it. It will just stay there as long as it's safe to be there.
And meant to be yours.
And meant to be yours. Yeah. Yeah.
You don't need to white knuckle what's meant for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say the almosts are probably the sneakiest because they're, in my experience, the ones where you're more likely to turn in on yourself and blame yourself and start scouring your inner world for like the areas that are not quite perfect yet or that you haven't fully developed yet, instead of seeing them for what they are as a sign that you're getting closer, you're getting more solid in what you do want, you're getting clearer, you're getting sharper in identifying what it looks like walking on the ground. You're building the skill sets that you need to take into that relationship so that it can be healthy and flourishing. All of these are actually really good indicators that you're on the right path if you're willing to see it that way. I know you talk about the almost a lot too. What do you want to share about that?
Yeah, I think there comes a point when you've done enough healing where you leave the wounded paradigm. There's not a lot of drama, pulling, unreliability, inconsistency, like all the drama that when people say dating is so hard, that stuff they're referring to. Because dating does not feel that way. The more you become secure within yourself and you have strong self-worth, you access your feminine on your own, you're just dating and getting to know really wonderful people. Really like I could give you a whole list of men that I have met and dated who are exceptional men. They're just not my person. And I knew it. But there was nothing wrong with them or wrong with me. We just weren't aligned, but they were good, healthy, secure men who will make amazing partners. And there's a unique grief in the almosts because you're like, it's so close to what I want. I don't know if this probably is true for men, but I'll just say for the feminine, there's this, I know you know this, like an intuition, a feeling of like, yes, this. This is what I was looking for, this. And anything that's not quite that, you just feel this sense of, he's not my person. I don't know why, I just know it. And he checks every box and it's just not it. There's this, your body has so much intelligence as the feminine to guide you toward what's for you. So you will release a lot of exceptional people. The pain will be that it's almost what you want and not quite, but it won't feel like all the wounded drama pain that you were once dealing with before, where you felt like, can't eat, can't sleep, I'm going to be sick, I need their attention, I need their validation, or I messed it all up. Like that, because you've left those ways of thinking and being in the past and really cleared them, breakups don't feel like that anymore. Then you are thinking, where were we incompatible? What did I learn about myself? What did I learn about what I needed? Where did I let myself down? Where was I not in integrity with the woman I want to be in a relationship? What would I do differently going forward? How can I practice that and embody that? That's the honey.
Yeah. It is almost like a taste of what you want. And in that way, it's a good sign. But I think because we have a hard time moderating that level of like excitement that comes online, we're like, yes, this is what I wanted. And then it feels like it's a drop because that, I love Brene Brown always says like joy feels vulnerable. That feeling of like the other shoe's gonna drop. It's that experience in the almost where it's like, ooh, yes, this is what I wanted. And it's actually not. And if you have the courage to keep your heart open in that space, this is what I learned when I was in a dating phase is that you can be sad about the connection not working out. And if you can keep your heart open, it will allow the clarity to come through of what you're actually aiming for. And you don't have to go through this whole 6-month breakup period anymore. You can just take the wisdom that you need. Eventually you will get to the point where you can hold yourself pretty quickly through phase 1 and move into phase 2. You don't want to jump through that at the beginning if you don't have these somatic resources and tools, but the closer that you get, it's kind of like, I always teach my clients, like you're learning to hunt with a bow and arrow, not a shotgun. Like you don't need to be like spreading your energy everywhere. You actually are wanting to get more precise. And if you can see this process as you getting really precise, yeah, you're going to miss the bullseye occasionally, but that's how archers get better. They practice, and you're getting closer and closer to where you're wanting to go. So,
and good on you, because there's no more important decision that you'll make in your life than who you partner with. So if there's somewhere to not settle, let it be the partner you choose for the rest of your life. Let yourself get through the nuance and really figure out what's going to work for you, where you're really going to be happy. Yeah.
Because this is the person that you're co-regulating with, the person that you're eating with, vacationing with, going to funerals with, going to weddings with, like
buying things with, selling things with, parenting, having babies, like in-laws, holiday, like every day. That person will now be a part of your everyday.
Yeah, they will in some ways be part of your mental chatter. Like this is someone you want to be vetting. And I don't want to get into high standards territory here
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like we're kind of like, if it's taken out of context, it will be in that way. But I think the difference is that you are vetting in dating. That's the purpose of dating, is to vet this person and see, is there compatibility, and are we headed in the same direction? Do we want the same thing with each other and with each other? And if not, if there's a way to reframe it for yourself and move through this process and glean the wisdom that your body is trying to feed you, and learn how to listen to that wisdom that's coming from your visceral system, you're probably going to be way better off if you're willing to do that.
I love that. I love our show because we do focus on the practicalities, and love really isn't enough. You're going to love a lot of people on the way to the right person. And I always say to my clients, what a gift it is to experience so many different versions of love, to have so much romance, to meet so many people, to fall in love with multiple people in your life. What a gift, and yes, there's the pain, but it doesn't, when you're in this way of thinking, right? It doesn't feel like all the times I fell in love and was let down. Like, that's not how I feel about my past relationships at all. I feel like, what a gift. Thank you for co-creating with me, for experiencing each other, for helping me get clarity, for helping me grow. I feel so lucky I got to love this person and to be loved by them. And there was one more thing I wanted to say about this. What did you say right before?
Girl, I don't even remember.
She said, I do not know what I said.
I'm like listening to you presently.
Sorry. I know you're so good at that.
I can't even think of what I want to say next.
No, it was so important. It doesn't matter. The point is,
vetting.
Yeah, you're vetting people, and I don't think it's wrong to have lots of people that you love as you're getting to know what works for you. Don't make being single or being alone wrong, and if that is the case, like, I'm single, what's going on? What's wrong with me? That's a pretty good indicator to do some self-worth work and falling in love with your life and creating a life that you love. So you're not looking for a partnership to try to escape it. Yeah. There was something else. It'll come back if it's meant to. But.
Well, that's what I tell my clients too, is that it's, you're wanting to come from a space of enjoying what you're up for, enjoying what you're building, enjoying the life you're creating, and looking around and seeing, like, who am I actually naturally connecting with? There will be more people. I don't want to get too far into phase 3. We can talk about that. I'm trying to discipline myself. But the other piece that I wanted to share is that when you are wanting to, again, kind of like make it about the other person, not only are you kind of robbing yourself of the wisdom that you would get in this season, but it's also another call to check in with your self-esteem. Because a lot of times we want to do this number with people of like, oh, I'm better than that, or they didn't deserve me anyways. And I would just caution you, or have you consider that the ways that you're thinking you're better than the other person are probably areas where you're needing to look at your self-esteem, where you're needing to look internally as well and really get clear on if it was just a neutral thing, we just weren't compatible, what story would you have to give up?
Ooh, good question. Say it again.
If you were going to come from this lens of just incompatibility is enough, like, what story would you have to be willing to let go of? That's keeping you in this like one up or one down position, to just let yourself have that. Let yourself release that story and give yourself the gift that story's been trying to give you.
Ooh. So good.
Yeah. Anything else?
It almost came back. You know the sensation of when you lose a thought? It's so funny to me how you're aware that you lost a thought. There's like an absence in your brain. And then when it starts to come back, you can feel a thought trying to come back, but you can't get it.
Yeah.
What a weird, you're like, just right here somewhere.
Yeah. Like
such an
grabbing fog.
Yes. Like, what is the human brain? Why does that happen? Why did I just partially remember but couldn't ground it? I guess it's not meant to be said.
That's all I can say. Anyways, I'm sure it will come back, and check out phase 3. The next episode, we're going into phase 3, which is the kind of who you're becoming as a result of the breakup, which is a really fun phase to move into. So come back for that episode. If you want more from Bree,
Building Bree Coaching, or buildingbree.com, you can apply. And if you are in a breakup right now, come to me. I love working with clients through breakups because this is where the transformation happens. It's like a springboard into becoming your secure, empowered, feminine, radiant self. Like, let me do the heavy lifting on parsing this out with you. You know? Don't carry it on your own. And we can actually make something really fruitful from this. So, if you want more from Courtney,
Courtney_Shand, Courtney Shand on YouTube. And the same thing, I would say for men, this is kind of a phase where they often find me, is where they're kind of hung up on an ex. They can't quite let her go. They're still like reeling or looping with those memories. So this is something that we can expand that capacity in your nervous system and then create a little bit of structure for you to work within that gives you exactly what Bree was saying, the distinction that you're needing to allow yourself to and then you can shift into something really magical.
You'll get through it faster, easier, with more fun and more wisdom, doing it with someone who can guide you through it than trying to parse it out in your own head with your own only one perspective, you know? The thing with highly intelligent people is, and I'm sure you find this with clients too.
I almost know what you're going to say.
They'll intellectualize everything, but then they can't see their own blind spots because you're in the experience. Like a fish in water is the reference you made earlier. That's where having somebody else who knows your brain, like Courtney knows highly intelligent men. I know highly intelligent, high-achieving women. And the way you'll try to skirt around and make it pretty, and I'm going to be like, that thing. Take the lipstick off it. Bring it forward. We're going to talk about that. Oh, no, that's not a big deal. I don't need to. Yes, we do. You know, and so there's a gift in that we do for each other. And you don't have to do this alone. I know you're capable of doing it on your own. You don't have to. And we can see things, professionals can see things that you might not see when you're too close to it.
That in and of itself. Yeah, you can spin around the same blind spot for as long as you want.
Where is it? I don't see it.
And we've been there. I've done this number, so no judgment.
I don't see a problem anywhere. What do you mean?
It's not coming from judgment. It really is there is a faster route, and
we went through the trenches already.
Yes, we have traversed to this.
Yeah, that's always the angle we do the show from, is hey, there's no high horse here. Everything we're saying is we have misstepped exactly. You see that foot in the pathway, that foot imprint? That was mine. I walked that path too.
The foot with the slide and the
fumble on the ground. That was me.
That was mine. Yeah. So we want to help you through it so that you don't have that experience too. We can help you shore up your footing and help you move through that with a little bit more clarity and just solidness in yourself.
So good. All right. Share the show if it was helpful. That helps us. Please. Please and thank you. Rate the show if you feel compelled. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.